Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live show. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, founder of the JQK Immigration Law Firm, headquartered in Los Angeles, but we handle cases from everywhere in the world, focus on people applying for family-based green cards like marriage and fiancé visas, people who are starting small business, the E2 investor visa, the L1, and also people with extraordinary ability, EB1A, and national interest waiver green card processes. So it's a lot of fun. We like helping these interesting clients of the immigration process, which is getting more and more convoluted and just complicated as we go on under the Trump administration. Different versions of bad news come in pretty essentially every day. It's very stressful, but you're in it, you're a fight, you're a lawyer, you're supposed to deal with stress. That's just how it works. So we're happy to be here with you to answer some general educational purposes questions, not intended as individual legal guidance, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and on TikTok. So feel free to shoot out your questions. Again, it's not intended as individual legal guidance. It's not personal, but it's your topics that we know. We give you a general idea what's going on because the immigration process is just so complicated. Some of the crazy news you might hear over the weekend is the Supreme Court saying that for now it's okay in Los Angeles or in the country for ICE officers who just see someone who's speaking with an accent essentially, or they think is a foreign person, to stop them, detain them, hold on to them, ask for ID. Something that's been illegal for the country forever. That's a weird thing that's happening, and hopefully that could change back somehow. Wiser people will come in charge. We have a question from Ahmed Ashraf. Asks, "Hi, I'm asking: is a single visit between couple is enough for evidence, U.S. Embassy, or should you visit each other more than one time?" Visits alone are, I mean, it's more you visit, the better, but there's more things than visiting that could show your relationship history. If you're talking about a relationship-based visa, it could be K1. So you need to have one instance where you see each other in person. That's the minimum requirement. But you have other things. You have communication history, you have WhatsApp records, you have gifts you might have sent each other. Also take photos. You might have letters from family and friends talking about how like they arranged your marriage because you have a South Asian name, so I'm assuming you might be South Asia. How they arranged the marriage and put it together. So there's more than one thing you can show it. And many times for fiance visas, one visit is all people can do. That's why they want to get engaged, do the fiance visa, come to U.S., live together for a little bit, figure it out, then decide to get married and file for it. So it's enough, but there's more because we got to see what's going on in your whole relationship history. Maybe have personal statements. And then after you file the case, you can still see each other. There's more communication history. So when you start a K1 fiance visa, you file a form I-129F first that has the basics of your relationship history. But while that's pending, and right now it's taking 15 or 16 months even for that to happen, you're going to have more relationship history, more communications, more chances to visit each other, more family members that meet both of you and can write letters. So there's a lot more stuff that happens, potentially financial stuff where they add you to their accounts or something like that if they choose to, have you be a beneficiary. So there's a lot that could be added. That's what our job as immigration lawyers here is, to flesh it out for you so you don't go in blind, not seeing what's going on in the situation. Gould asks, my case is at the National Visa Center. How long does it take to transfer to U.S. Embassy? From April up to now, I'm waiting. Well, the case is already at the embassy. We're waiting for the embassy to schedule an appointment for you. So, but I'm not able to answer your question because you're not giving enough information. For example, I need to know which embassy you're dealing with. Secondly, what type of case is it that you have? With as much detail as possible there so you begin to understand it. The embassy system, Department of State, has created a website called IV Scheduling Status Tool. I go to Google and type in DOS as Department of State, DOS IV Tools, and it comes up. And for example, if you're an immediate relative case, a spouse of U.S. citizen, a parent of U.S. citizen, and you're going to have a case in Doha, Qatar, they're saying right now, once your case is documentarily qualified from the National Visa Center. So I'm not sure. You say wait to April. Is that from the National Visa Center welcome notice or from being documentarily qualified? But assuming it is, if you're going to Doha as a media relative case, they're currently scheduling interviews for not having the interview, but scheduling the interview for cases filed in October or documentarily qualified in October 2024. And it varies dramatically depending on the embassy. So we need a lot more information. But whatever I say, here you say U.S. Embassy Nairobi for I-130 spouse. So I need to know, is you married a U.S. citizen or a green card holder? Having said that, Nairobi is super backed up. 2 or 3 years waiting is normal, unfortunately. It's bad news. Now I can give you a quick answer there without even looking it up. I'll answer your question. Path Divergent says, what exactly happens during a supervisor review after a naturalization interview? A supervisor reviews it if necessary to give the okay. Just exactly what it sounds like. Daniel Abraham says, hello, sir. When you apply for N400 90 days prior to 90 days, does USCIS typically wait until your 5-year green card anniversary to adjudicate your case? Yes. AAA says, is it possible any chance to file for a green card I-485 under EB2 NIW from I-589 pending status? Oh, it's not status. So what happens is, let me break it down. The short answer is most of the time it's going to be denied. So you could take a risk, but it's probably going to get denied. To be able to file for a green card in the United States, you have to be in status, meaning you have some sort of visa status that's valid. And that the exception is if you're married to a U.S. citizen, that could be in your cases based on marriage to a U.S. citizen or a immediate relative, parent of U.S. citizen, spouse of U.S. citizen, or minor child. They could overstay your visa, for example, still be okay. For employment-based cases like the one you have, you could be up at a status up to 108 days and it's still okay. But some people have an asylum case pending. An asylum case sometimes takes many years in the United States to be able to get a hearing. So maybe 2 or 3, you get on a tourist visa, it expires, 2 or 3 years go by, you're still waiting for a asylum case. In the meantime, you get a potential chance to get a green card based on employment. However, for that, you have to leave the U.S. and do an embassy interview because, again, for what I went to the beginning, you have to have maintained status or employment-based cases, have been out of status for less than 180 days, or EB1, 2, and 3. I think they add EB5 for that too. But essentially, let's stick with EB2 and just put that example. And so in your case, if you are past that 180 days after your lawful entry, most USCIS field offices and the National Benefits Center will deny your case saying you're out of status for adjustment of status. Now, sometimes we'll hear it does pop up where people come and say, I got approved. And it happens. It's not unheard of. But if you came to me and wanted me to hire my office to do that, I'd have you sign a big disclaimer that says, John told me it's probably going to get denied. He didn't lie to me, making me think like I'm going to get approved and take my money. I've seen it be approved. That's why I'd be willing to maybe file it, but with all the warnings and stuff like that. That sober guy asked, I hear that ICE agents are going after people for overstaying visa. I saw a video on it. I saw one today. It's pretty nasty what they're doing. But they're doing that, unfortunately. There's millions of people probably like that, but it's a pretty nasty situation. And thanks for leaving a gift, sober. Jennifer asks, if someone is granted asylum by an immigration judge, how long does it take to be released from ICE? I don't know. I don't handle asylum or ICE-related cases or people being detained, but if they're approved, they should come out soon after. But I don't handle those cases on a day-to-day basis, so I don't want to advise on a case that I'm not like knee-deep in doing myself. So if you're all watching, I kindly share your live feed and invite more friends so you can come in and ask questions. If you're interested in stuff, most likely people around you are interested in it too, and they can shoot out their questions. We can help the whole group about U.S. immigration law. Jacona asks, if someone is in detention, is it best to self-deport since they revoked the parole? I can't say. We have to know the person's background and whether it's better to self-deport or not. So if they're in detention, if they have a solid case, if they get representation, that's good, and they could fight it out, then maybe that's the way to go. And it kind of depends on the person, how much they can handle being in detention and stuff too. So I can't say something's best or not. That's such an individual decision after much thought that it's not possible to really like answer that question the way you're asking it. We got to see what's going on with the individual. And it kind of goes to the same kind of question. What are the percentages that waivers get passed? I don't keep track of percentages because it's not a useful number. Each case is different. And so you got to look at that case. And when you say waivers, there's like a J1 waiver. There's a, I-751 waiver. There's a 601A waiver. There's a 601 waiver. There's other kinds. There's NIV waiver. So the question is, if you want to turn a proper answer, it's so technical. And at the end of the day, I'll just tell you this in conclusion, is it doesn't matter. It depends on what's going on in your case. And every day they change the rules on us, what the standards of waivers are. So it varies so dramatically. It's not a useful question to ask. You got to really just look at your own case and see whether I have a good case or not. And that's the way to go at it. If you haven't already liked, please press like and subscribe to get more content just like this. Django asks, if you get reported for marriage fraud and you already have a 10-year green card, can you get in trouble? Yeah, you get in big trouble. If they believe it, they could take away your green card and put you in deportation for 204C finding. Marriage fraud findings is disastrous. Jennifer says, thank you for responding. You're welcome, Jennifer. Basketball says, is K3 trick still working for I-130s? I'd say 1 out of 5 times. Jacana says, okay, thank you, but it's very limited to type it all. Jacana, I don't remember what your previous question was. It's Jacana, like, even though it's limited, it's like it's not proper for me to go in an individual case to say someone's good or bad. That's something where a private consultation, because there's a lot of private information there. This is more for more general kind of stuff. Angie says, my husband hasn't been in the country for 10 years. Should I still file the relative petition? If you want to have your husband come here. I don't know the rest of his case, but whether you want to do that, it's your personal decision, whether you want to live with your husband or not. S says, hi, is the travel ban still on? Or humanitarian pro visas haven't been issued? Travel ban for the people, you're saying is the travel still on? I'm guessing you're saying travel ban, and it applies to certain countries, yeah. Lovely girl asks, can I use my petitioner's I-797 to show their legal status on my interview due to green card renewal? The petitioner's I-797 to show legal status, their legal status. No. What do you mean? Okay, so I'm guessing you have a green card, 2-year green card that you file I-751 for. It doesn't make sense. An I-797 notice is a piece of paper. It's usually a receipt or approval notice that comes from USCIS. The notice by itself does not have indicator of anything. Now, if there's I-94s at the bottom of it and they're still valid, that would be proof of status. But a notice by itself is not, without the I-94 stamps or visa stamps in your passport or your green card or something, that doesn't help any. But I need more. It's kind of a weird question to ask. And so we got to know more what the issues are that you have that's causing you to ask that question. Kate Noah says, my daughter just graduated her master's degree. She doesn't have work yet. Can she file a petition for me now? If she's 21 and a citizen, she could file for a parent's petition and get that started. Eventually, if you're here, you have to have proper status, or if you're out of status, you have to have proper entry. Your background has to be good. If you're overseas, then that's not as big a deal if you don't have any violations in the past, Kate Noah. But the part that becomes a problem is just financial backing. So if she doesn't have she's not working, you need to get a joint sponsor. So it's as long as she's 21, that's the minimum threshold. But her graduate school and stuff doesn't matter. What matters is either she has enough money to sponsor you for the IA-64 affidavit support, or that you should get a joint sponsor. So that's more important there. Golly asks, if I'm in good financial standing and health, how do I prove my husband is needed? We have to file for hardship. Well, people have hardships in life. They might have kids that might have difficulties that affects them. They might have psychological issues that affect them. There might be other kind of issues that are present in your life. That's why we talk with the immigration in private to go through your whole history, to identify samples. Because a lot of times people are going through a really bad time in life, but it's really hard to be a success and constantly remind yourself of how bad your situation is. So what we see as human beings everywhere all the time is they won't even notice the bad things they're going for until you mention, like, oh yeah, that is pretty terrible, but you kind of zone it out because you don't want to think about it. So a lot of times we talk with people and we pull out like, oh wow, these are horrible situations people are going through, and they don't even overtly, they're subconsciously are thinking about behind their head, but in the front they think they have no problems. Kay Noah says she doesn't have work yet. Can she file me a petition? Yeah, you can file an I-130 petition. But I don't know, Katie, I got to see if you're in the U.S. or outside, because if you're in the United States, it's better to do adjustment of status at the same time. But we got to look over your background. So I can't give you individual legal guidance whether your daughter should or shouldn't file a case for you now, because I don't have enough information about you. Please schedule a private consultation. But generally speaking, a U.S. citizen that's 21 could start the petition process for their parents. Strategically, whether she would now or later, it depends on a lot of different factors. We got to really get into what country you're from, what your immigration background is, any issues exist. Will you be able to find a sponsor in time, or will she find work in time, and a lot more. So we got to really sit and talk about that to see if it's a good idea or worthwhile to even pursue that. Lovely Girl says they are renewing their green card, but I need it for my interview. By renewing your green card, if you're doing a 10-year green card, I-90, there's no interview. If you're doing I-751, which is what you're probably doing, the receipt status or something doesn't prove anything. Just you need to have the petitioner's proof of status, so a green card or passport. They're usually not going to look at it, but you should have that. Keno says, just have work. You should file a petition. I already answered your question. P says, is interview for a child petition for a mother AOS mandatory? A child petition for mother adjustment mandatory? It's depends if they want to. Sometimes it's up to them if they want to do that. I've had one recently approved without interview. It was a U.S. citizen applied for her mother, and they approved that interview, but there's someone they require you to go to interview. Peter asks, I passed my interview today, my I-751 and N400 interview. Congrats, Peter. Glad to hear that. Thanks for letting us know. How was it? How difficult was it? A Quadruple A says, can I reach out to you to evaluate my profile for O1 visa from F1 status, currently U.S. and data scientist? We're not accepting O1 case at this time for Quadruple A. Thank you for reaching out about that. We focus on EB1A extraordinary ability, the green card version. For the O1, we don't, but send your resume, and I could go to jqqlaw.com/contact and they connect with us, and I could give information to some other attorneys that do O1 visas. Butterfly says, what can I do? My K1 visa is approved and from a banned country, a whole blue pass in Germany. If you're a German citizen, you get around it, but the blue pass is like this, not a full passport. I'm not familiar with German passport requirements, but if it's not a full German passport and not a German national, not a German citizen, then that's gonna be a problem. I have to get married and do like that if you're exception to that rule through immediate relative. Peter asked, it was okay. I went with my wife, and the officer told my wife to stay outside. She's going to interview me, and it was really fast. So God bless. Thank you, Peter, for letting me know. I'm happy that it went down smoothly. Congrats on becoming a citizen. Once you do your oath ceremony, if you haven't done so already, apply for U.S. citizenship as fast as possible after that. Angie says, I was told by a lawyer that ICE is detaining people at the marriage interview and could be deported. Yes, they are doing that. It's not widespread, but fortunately, it is happening. Miss Bionumi says, I was paroled in the U.S., I-485 pending, but parole was revoked, possible denial. Not possible denial. I mean, I don't know your case, so I can't say possible. So you could have the case be fine. I had a case like that approved recently, but it depends on your background and if the government wants to be annoying about it, if they want to give you problems. Or they could if they want to, but it could be approved too. Butterfly says, what can I do if my mom's work permit has arrived after 9 months, has not arrived after 9 months of receiving receipt number? You could call and request an expedite request. There's not much you can do. Miss Bound says, answer your question, Miss Bounty. Is the USCIS moving faster? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. There's so many different kinds of USCIS cases. So that question is just too broad. Mole says, my 16 was approved I-130, but when he was 14, he got a felony. Can I still apply for a green card? When he was 14, he got a felony. We got to see. Sometimes there's a law that says the immigration department shouldn't consider crimes under age of 18, but I'm not sure it applies. It probably doesn't. I think you're okay, but I need to research it because I'm not used to seeing a 14-year-old with a felony. So we got to see what's going on. Maybe on discretion they could deny it. I got to learn more about that or schedule a consultation with an attorney for them to study it. Okay, now it says, very clear, sir. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Lovely Girl says, can I use the old green card in the notices? It's an I-130 case. I can't tell you what to use, Lovey. You're getting very detailed in the questions, and I don't want to give you advice on what you could use, and it's problematic without fully seeing what the documents are and relying on yourself. I got to see why you're worried about this, why you don't have the document in the first place. We can easily request it. So we got to know more information what's going on. Best to schedule a private consultation. Evie says, is AP still okay to do for the most part? Depends on your background, but it's working. Are they letting people back in? Yeah. Now, if you have a bad case or problems in your history, then that's going to be a problem, but for other people, it's cool. Butterfly 12 says, my mom's, we answered your question, Butterfly. P says, how long is the EAD card based on asylum replacement application takes to get the green card issued? How long is the EAD card based on asylum replacement application takes to get the card issued? It varies. I don't keep track of the timelines on that. Gap says, hi, I have a question. Can I go, please? My husband is detained. Please help. Can I go, please? My husband is detained. Please help. I'm not sure what your question is, but our office doesn't handle detained cases, so I'd recommend contacting other attorneys in private and talking about your husband's case. 7090 says, is this safe to go to USCIS interview these days? You never know. You never know, but you got to go sometimes. You got to go if you want to get the green card for some cases. Butterfly says, thank you. Basketball says, for I-130 case spouse. I'm not sure what your original question was, Basketball. Sorry. Gap says, hi, my husband is detained. Currently has court on the 15th. He, okay. You think he'll still get bond? Not if he came without papers. Unfortunately, as of last Friday, they won't give you bond in that scenario unless there's a lawsuit that changes things up. Now it says, can I travel with advanced parole if it was referred to court by my master in 2028? I would not travel with advanced parole or leave the U.S. if I have an immigration court case pending. That's a recipe for disaster right there. So these are, I know you might want to travel, might be urgent, but they might just not let you back in. So you don't want to do something like that. The immigration department says just it's getting very stressful and tiring, frankly. About every day they're changing the rules on us, making it very difficult for people. But that's the kind of work we're involved in, and we're going to help you all with that kind of stuff. The big news really is citizenship for a lot of people. They made the citizenship process more complicated, more background checks, more paperwork to show that you're a person of good moral character. And so that's something that's going to be a big issue. That's happening, future immigration cases that are coming up for citizenship. That's unexpected, and it's going to cause delays too because they're going to do background checks on people. So it's like, what are you going to look up? How long is that going to take? But in the background checks, I mean, they're going to visit your work and your neighbors. Like, it's kind of crazy. Daniel says, your videos always serve as valuable resources, assisting us in maintaining our sanity. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Daniel. It's very kind of you. God bless you. Edward says, my wife has an appointment for November 10th, but my stepson gets the 6-step approval at August 28th. I'm not sure what your question is, but I'm not sure what the 6-step approval is either. Lisa says, is it safe to travel within the U.S. with a real ID, even though my papers have recently been denied? I wouldn't travel outside. No, it's not safe. Right now, based on what's going on in the U.S., I can't say anywhere in the U.S. is safe. Just being at home, it could be unsafe. How can I add him on here in the embassy in Honduras? I didn't know about your case, but you just contact on the National Visa Center website. There's a way to add family members, but I guess exactly what's going on in your case. So please schedule a private consultation. Natty says, does petty offense exemption still apply for citizenship? It does, but they still always have discretion if they want to bother you about stuff like that. I do need to mention that if you're all interested in having a private consultation, go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact, and fill in the boxes there to schedule that. But also, we have two guides. We have an Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide for marriage and fiancé visas. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com and download that free guide, 50 plus pages. But we just launched the Ultimate Citizenship Naturalization Guide, 50 plus pages there of content going down through the whole process of immigration so you have a better understanding of what's going on. Go to jqklaw.com/citizenship to download that guide. It's jqklaw.com/citizenship. Manuel Santana says, I submitted the I-130 for a Mexican wife and stepdaughter 45 days ago. How long is the wait and expectation? We did this way to keep crossing with a tourist visa and global entry status. So first of all, you're a U.S. citizen, Manuel, or a green card holder. If you're a citizen, you needed two I-130s, one for each of them. But it's taking average 12 to 14 months to get the I-130 approved. And Mexico is starting to back up when it comes to the embassy interviews time. It was gotten fast, but it's slowing down again. Last I checked, it got to like 6 months, but last I checked, maybe a month ago, it was like a year or something like that. So if you're going to do it for a immediate relative, like it is your case in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, right now they're scheduling interviews for May 2024. So that's bad. It's going to take a year and a half. So you probably got, unfortunately, like 2.5 years left. If I'm doing my math right. So it's going to be a while, unfortunately, before you get the family situation together there. Sorry to say. Let's go back to our Instagram page. There we go, Manuel. Thank you for your question. User 73 says, I applied for naturalization after my 10-year green card has expired for a month. Is it a problem with that? They updated the rules about expiration of the green card and apply for naturalization. I can't remember all of it because it used to be you have to renew it at first, but most of my clients still have their green card happening before when we file, so I can't remember the rule off the top of my head. You have to search the policy manual for that. Simeon says, hi, I overstayed my visa and married a U.S. citizen, and we are living together for 2 years. Download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, Simeon. Go to the website. It's called marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Then schedule a private consultation. The overstay is a little risky right now because the Trump administration is sometimes detaining people for that. But we got to see, most of the time they don't, but it does happen. There's more and more occurrences of this being heard of. So things are getting really worse, but you may not have any choice. If you leave and do the process through the embassy, which they want you to do, you might be subject to a 10-year bar. So that becomes a big problem too. Depends on what kind of visa you had and which background. There's just a lot going on of information that we need to know. All right, so we got 6 more minutes before your questions. Crispy asks, question about Form I-129F. How can I get good information? I mean, they have a lot of videos breaking down. You can go to our guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Crispy, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. And then there's videos in there. Watch my YouTube videos. If you want good information, cough up the money. Schedule a private consultation with a couple of attorneys. A lot of people do free consultations. We don't. But do it to talk with different people and get good information. That's how you get good information. You get to go to specialists. Some of them are going to have bad information. Some good. Some are free. Some are expensive. You put it all together and you make a decision what's best for you and your family. Chana says, what's the next step after I-130? If it's approved, then, and thank you for the gifter badge, then it depends on what kind of I-130 it is, who the petitioners are, the green card holder citizen, and what the family relationship is with the foreign person. But eventually, if you're outside the United States, you do consular processing with the embassy to get an embassy interview, and then if approved, you come to the United States, get a green card. Bendy says, my son will be 21 next year. Is it possible for him to start my paperwork for us parents? Maybe. Did you enter the U.S. with the visa with permission? Jay Hussein says, how long is embassy taking to schedule an interview? Well, it's the embassy that takes that. It depends on what kind of case you have and which embassy you're dealing with. So it's very specific. Manny says, can a K-1 visa holder apply for asylum if the U.S. citizen fiancé denies to marry? Asylum is one of the exceptions that will allow. You can't do other stuff, but asylum is always there. But you have to have a good asylum case, and those are backed up too. You might end up going to immigration court, so it's not a fun experience. Hussein says London. So, okay, Jay Hussein, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and your case was documentarily qualified, by London. London is pretty fast, but then again, there's a person who comes on the show all the time, so they haven't been scheduled they're supposed to. Jay Hussein. So they're scheduling cases that were documentarily qualified in July. So I need more information, but 4 to 6 months is normal. Vandy says K visa. So yeah, if your child's 21, you enter with visas, overstays. You don't have any criminal history or removal court history. Depends on what kind of visas you had too. Is it J1? There's a lot of specific nuances I got to go through, but generally it is possible. But I got to go through your case. So please schedule a private consultation, Bendy. jqqlaw.com/contact, and we'll have a video meeting with you, your spouse, and your child to go over everything. There's a financial sponsorship portion. We got to see if they're working, if you need a joint sponsor. Let's see what's going on in your background. Did you falsely claim to be a U.S. citizen or not, or fill out an I-9 form that was incorrect? There's like 20 minute things we got to drill down and make sure they're okay, so you don't get yourself in trouble. Simeon says, I applied for adjustment of status and having my work authorization and having my working authorization of Social Security. I don't know your question, Simeon, but thank you for the badge. Intel says, if I'm removal proceedings, should I file the I-130 before filing a motion to terminate the removal? Probably, but we got to see what kind of I-130 it is and like your motion will be based on. So if you're gonna do something like that, you should have a lawyer. Don't even listen to a person on video here. Probably yes, but like schedule a consultation with an attorney, talk about that. Applesauce says, what's your hourly rate? I don't talk about my rates because they're going to go up in 3 months. So then it's going to be this record of me saying it's something that people say you lied to me or something like that. But at the end of the year, it's going to go up. So if you all want to hire, get in quick or schedule a private consultation to discuss that. User 73 says, if I traveled 10 years ago for more than a year using a white passport, would it be a problem for 100? Not usually, unless they want to be jerks about it. Hota says, did my adjustment status interview from May until now, no decision, what's next? I got to see your case, what happened, what was said, what your background is, and maybe it's just writing a letter might solve it. We had that happen actually this morning, a case of mine where the person went to adjustment status interview 4 months ago, and 3 months into it, I sent a letter to the office about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said, hey, what's going on? Why is it not approved? And just today we got the approval notice. Very excited. That was a case that was pending for 5 or 6 years. Previous attorney messed it up, so it was like a lot going on. Hot Gal says, answer. The Chosen says, should you go update your Social Security number after oath ceremony? Will it automatically update? It was supposed to automatically update. The Doge and Elon Musk changed it. So yeah, once you get the oath naturalization certificate, you should first apply for your passport, probably get that in. But also I notified the Social Security office so they know you're a citizen, so they adjust your paperwork accordingly. All right, I think we got 1 more minute left. If y'all have any questions, let me know, or we're gonna call it a day. I'm definitely, if you can't see, I've been doing these meetings since what is it, probably my 10th hour of meetings right now. Lily says, my N400 3-year rule is under heightened scrutiny. Yes and no. I mean, if you have good documents, it doesn't matter. Tavia says, hi, good night. Me and my spouse went to interview yesterday and we got one question wrong because, and I don't know the rest of your question. Adam says, quick question. Just ask your question, Adam. She and my car payment was $700, but I said $250. Well, that's not good, but depends on the totality of the situation, but that's pretty off. But if it's just that one, probably it's not a big deal. And we'll take one more question. We'll call it a day. And good. Sok Visa says, travel internationally with I-751 pending. Still married, no criminals, is safe. I can't advise you if something's safe or not. I don't know you well enough, and who knows, Trump might change stuff. Generally, it's not something I worry about, I-751 pending travel, but I don't know your individual case, so I can't tell you something's safe or not. Simeon says, we have an interview to come this month. My wife's a citizen with enough evidence. Okay. Adam says, I'm a U.S. citizen. I want to adopt a child from another country. I don't specialize in citizenship. I mean, for adoption, I have citizenship, but I don't specialize in adoption. Tavia says, it was $250 weekly, and I didn't say bi-weekly. Oh, that sucks. So, I mean, you can write a letter correcting them and having your statement to show it. But maybe that could be something that's done. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and coming on the show. I'll be back again next Tuesday, 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions live on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. If you want to schedule a private consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact, and download our Ultimate Guide, Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and Ultimate Citizenship Naturalization Guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship. I'll help you get started on what you need to know before you even call a lawyer, so you can figure out what the situation is and be able to judge a lawyer and see if they know what they're talking about. Thank you so much, everybody. Be safe. I'll see you all next time. God bless.